Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to be here. And thank you, Reverend, for the invitation to be this morning sharing the word of the Lord with you. The two lectures, biblical lectures today, are really a commitment of my life. And I am very happy with this church that has been for so many years the supporters of our ministry. I don't have words how to express on behalf of the Southwest Good Samaritan Ministries my appreciation and to tell you that you are the angels that the Lord sent to our ministry on different ways of the help that we receive from you. Because of persons like you is that we can carry our ministry. As the Reverend told you before, I am Feliberto Pereira. I never was thinking to come to the United States until I was in disgrace with the communist system of Fidel Castro in Cuba. I was doing okay on my country until the communists was taking power, betraying the revolution that we were thinking that was the marvels at that time in 59. But in April the 60, Fidel Castro was announcing that he was a secret member of the Communist Party since 1953. It was so hard for all of us because if he were telling us that before, nobody were helping him to be in power, including Dwight D. Eisenhower, that was helping him with some of the help on the 50s. I'm so glad that I was able to be part of the last graduation that the communist system was permitted to the seminary in Cuba, where I was 5 years. My graduation was in May of 1960. In June was the order of the communist system to close the seminary, and it was a persecution to the religious persons, all kinds of religious persons. A member of the Masonic Lodge that was very active at that time in Cuba. 1961, I was visited by the captain of police and the secretary of the Communist Party, the only party at that time in Cuba, like today, 57 years later. The longest people in power in all the history, the Castros. They told me, you cannot go out from the walls of the church and the parsonage that was by the side of my church. I said, why? And they said, because you are a Christian. And I said, why? And they said, because you are a Christian. And we consider the Christians the puppets of the Yankees, as they were calling the American people. It was 1962. At the same time, 1962, the same chief of police, the rulers, and the secretary of the party came again and said, you cannot visit the hospital, you cannot go to visit any of your members. You have to stay in your house and the church, or you will be arrested. I'll say again, if I am not doing anything against the system, what is the problem? You are a Christian, and you are pro-Yankees, and you, as a Christian, work for the CIA. And I said, I am not working for any CIA. Some months later, they came again and said, you have to work for us. You have to produce, because you are a parasite. And I said, I'm not a parasite. I am a hard worker. I have my church and 4 missions. And they said, you are a parasite because you are living from the money of others and not producing for the socialism, for the Cuban government. I was taking the position to be a teacher for the junior high school. On my second year, I was elected to be the principal of the school. In order to be the principal, they said you have to be atheist. Nobody with any kind of religious can be director of any school, because the order is to teach the children that they have to be atheist. Because the Bible and God is something that is so wrong, and the Bible is the book of the CIA teach the Latin American countries to have the people in ignorance, according to them. And I said, you are so wrong, because the Bible is orders that all the Americans together, because it's the word of God since the creation. Well, I was teaching, but they were taking me and said, we need you as the principal. Like I said, I don't want to be. And they said, you will be in 15 days, 2 weeks. We know that you will be another man. I said, what? They forced me to be receiving classes on the Communist Manifesto of Karl Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx, and the philosophy book of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin from Russia, from the Soviet Union, Karl Marx, and Vladimir Roca from Cuba, another member of the Communist Party. The 15 days passed, and they were thinking, Javier, my teacher, was thinking that I was able to reject my faith, my Christianity, my church, my Bible. And I told Javier, when he was taken to his office, Javier, I have to tell you, after reading and listening to you, my faith is stronger. I don't need to be a principal of the school. You can have it. And he was so furious, insulting me, insulting the American people, insulting the church, insulting the Bible, and telling me again, the Bible is the book of the CIA, to have in ignorance the people of the world. And he said, you are so wrong. I know who lives in my heart. He was taking his pistol, trying to intimidate me, and he was insulting me personally with words that I cannot say here. And I have to confess that I was losing my temper too. And I told him, I have not fear of you, and 50 Fidel Castro that will come right now here. You can kill me now, and I know where I will go. I know who lives in my heart. He threw away the door and said, you will suffer the consequences. And sure enough, it was Thursday morning. The following Monday morning, I was condemned to 18 months to the concentration camp, working on the sugarcane field. In 1966, in January, again, I was in one of these concentration camps, carrying the sugarcane in the sugarcane field, when I was trying to pass a Bible tract on my pocket to another companion of mine, Aurelio Lopez, because we were prohibited to have New Testaments or Bibles in the concentration camp. It was prohibited. I was trying to pass hiding my Bible tract, and you know that the Bible tract has so many Bible verses. And one of the first was John 3:16. And a guard from the distance saw me and immediately came. And when I was giving to Aurelio Lopez the Bible tract, he was taking, and immediately was telling me, we now know you have to tell us who is Juan, John, and what the meaning of the 3:16, because this is a code of the CIA that you are passing here to organize the camp. I say, this is a Bible verse. You can look that on the Bible. This is one of the book of the New Testament. No, it's Juan. We need to know who is Juan, because we know that the CIA are organizing so many people here to be against the system, the communist system. I said, this is a Bible verse, where they were taking me with 6 soldiers, putting me in front of the camp with a 6 rifle pointing on my chest, lieutenant one side, a doctor another, doctor to just certify your death, and waiting for the Captain Pinares. When you mentioned Captain Pinares, my knees were like this because I was very aware who Captain Pinares was. What man that was in 3 months was the killer, the rumor was the killer of 100 Cubans that were accused to be a member of the CIA. When the Cubans were wanting to disappear, the communists were wanting to disappear one dissident person, just they accused of being a member of the CIA, and that was the last word. No lawyers, no mother, no father, nobody that can defend you. Being accused of that, I was so aware of my death, and I was praying the Lord. I was in fear, really. I was in fear. I was asking for the protection of my family, and all of a sudden, after 1 hour and a half that I was on that situation, with waiting for Pinares was not coming. I was feeling something that I don't have an explanation. Just only that from that day on, I believe on miracles. I was believing on the miracle of the Bible, but I was thinking it was something on the past. But something I saw, I sensed that something was surrounding me. And my fear disappeared, and I was seeing the soldiers as the small ones. And I was feeling that I was so tall. I don't know, I don't have explanation for this. The only thing that I can tell you that I was talking to them, I was not speaking in tongue, I was speaking Spanish to them and telling, I don't know what, but the rifles were down. Captain Pinares came, and from the distance, no approaching us, loud told the lieutenant, he has 60 seconds to disappear, or I will not guarantee his life. I was eating very well, and the lieutenant told, you have 1 minute to run. I was knowing very well how they were killing people by the back, telling the family he's escaping, and was no choice. And I was so positive of that, I ran on zigzags, because I was reading the stories before, the song that were escaping, running on zigzags, and I was doing the same thing, but the great thing for me is that I never hear one shot. I never, if they do it or not, it doesn't touch me anything. That day I was really believing that the prayers that I was doing to the Lord was so positive that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. 1 week in my house, hiding myself, the soldiers came again. Were taking me by force. My son, that was 4 years old, was embracing my leg and said, Papi, don't go, Papi, don't go, Papi, no te vayas, Papi, no te vayas. It was so hard for me, really, it was so hard. But they were taking me to Esmeralda. Esmeralda was another camp, concentration camp, worse than where I was before, in the province of Camagüey, where for 3 months the water was in a cistern, a very salty water, with plenty animals, death. 500 of us, many Catholics, Protestants, political dissidents, and members of the Masonic Lodge were together on that camp, resisting for 2 days not to drink the waters. Lieutenant Cisneros told us, if you don't want to drink the water, it's not your problem, you can die. And you know that survivor, for 3 months, we were drinking that water. Never in my life I was thinking that a human being can be so cruel to another human being just because ideology. Because we were, all of us were not criminals, were members of the Catholic Church, people studying for be a priest, pastors, young pastors, leaders of the churches. All of us were not criminal, were persons of ideas, as they were calling us. The time passed by, and on the take of the November of 1969, with the great help of the former Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, who himself is a political refugee too, was helping so many pastors and priests, and we were out in the Freedom Fly, a program established by the by late President Lyndon B. Johnson, and continue after the period of time of Richard Nixon. I was able to take one of the airplane with the help of the U.S. Help for political dissident at that time. I remember the two pilots being on the cockpit of the airplane without letting the being out of that, because it was surrounded by the communist militia, and we were like animals pushing into the airplane in a silent, nobody talking, because they were taking people out and separating wife and woman and husband or families, and they were doing so many terrible things. I cannot forget the time, and I always remember the two pilots until today, because for us were our angels. But that when the airplane was taking the sea to Miami, all the people were so loud, libertad, libertad, freedom, freedom. And we came to Miami, Florida. All the people were taking the ladders and kissing the line of freedom. And I have to tell you that nothing is so precious as God and to be in freedom and liberty. This is something that I'm so proud of this country, that I love with all my heart, that I appreciate as the biggest treasure of my life is freedom and liberty. And whatever I have to do as I teach my church and my kids that now are grown, to defend always freedom and liberty, democracy. It's something that I really appreciate with all my heart. And I was 4 years in Miami. The government was relocating me in Brooklyn, New York, on the 14th of November of 1969. It was snowing. I was just out from the concentration camp with around 100 pounds. Never seeing snow, never being in so cold weather. Coming from a hot weather, you can imagine. 6 months in New York without not knowing anybody, not speaking any English, just yes or no, good morning, good afternoon, good night, not too much. But the Christian Church Disciple of Christ was embracing me and making me feel at home, like I feel today in this church. Because any time that I go to a church, as I told Sheila, my good friend, I feel at home, because I know that even my English is like this compared with yours. I feel a family, and I feel at home. I feel that we are one in Christ when we worship the same Lord, the same Lord. 6 months in the church, Christian Church Disciple of Christ in Brooklyn, they offered me, they were calling Indianapolis the headquarters. The Hispanic director was interviewing me and said, we want to open a mission in San Benito, Texas. I was not aware San Benito was in the border with Mexico, but two phrases immediately convinced me. He told me, I was not asking for money. He told me, they speak Spanish, and there is hot weather. I said, send me there. Send me there, please. And I don't repent. I don't repent. I enjoy Texas a lot, and I feel at home there. And one thing that convinced me how the Lord was sending me there is because immigration was calling me in 1979 to help them with 1,000 of political refugees coming from Central America, mainly from El Salvador at that time, between the Farabundo Martí guerrilla forces, pro-communist, and the government of Duarte in El Salvador. I was taking my church in San Benito and making the church a home for all these people and taking them to the immigration office every week. In 1982, it was the big turmoil of the former President Anastasio Somoza in Nicaragua with the Sandinistas and Daniel Ortega. It came a lot of thousands of Nicaraguans coming to our place. In 1986, it was again another turmoil in Nicaragua. It was Oliver North helping the Contras with the deal with some from Iran and Sandinistas, and against a lot of Nicaraguans coming to our midst. 1994, it was a turmoil in Cuba, and instead of putting the people in prison at that time, Fidel Castro was in fear, was letting the people to go in rafters, and it was another invasion of Cubans like me coming to the United States through Mexico. And since then, I have been helping so many refugees. In 1983, I was making a decision myself. I said, I have to stay here no matter what, because these people that I'm helping with the immigration, taking them to me until the court hearings process for the political asylum, has been walking the same shoes that they are walking, coming without nothing as I was arriving in Miami, just with the clothing on, not one penny, nothing on my pocket. And has been helping these people through the years with the help, because we are working very close on whatever the government decided with these people as they are applying for the political asylum. We are very grateful with Homeland Security that has been respected for 31 years, our ministry, in a way that it has been no other ministries. And I am so happy with the US government on this way, how we have a good relationship. Working with political refugees like me. The river is crossed by many different persons. As you know, are so many from Mexico because of poverty and some other countries that cross the river seeking better way of life. And we respect that, but we are not dealing with that. We are dealing just with the persons that come to the border, present themselves. They are first processed by the Customs Service, and they have a place, they need a place to stay, and they call us from the offices of immigration or the places in Brownsville or McAllen. We offer room and board. Lately, it has been a lot of Cubans taking the route to Ecuador. That is the only country that in the past was giving some visa of tourists to the Cubans, because the Cuban peso is good for nothing. But Ecuador was given this opportunity. They were taking the journey through Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, to our border. A journey that is very difficult because the cartels in Mexico are taking them and asking ransom, and other time assaulting the women and doing so horrible situations. Lately, we have been very involved with children that are coming supposedly along from the Central America, because the cartels are taking the word to Guatemala and Honduras. When I say cartels are the drug traffickers that are very active in Central America, and these people offer and say, you have a children, you can come to the border, and you cross with the children, and in the United States you will receive everything. And that is a lie. You have to give your property, your house, your cows, your land, your lot to them, or ask money to the family in the United States. It's horrible a situation on what is desperation on so many of these poor people really is hard. In the other way, it's true that they are suffering so much because of the gang and the drug dealers in Honduras and Guatemala. At this moment, I have Elsa and Astrid, a mother and a daughter, in my place. Astrid was 26 years old in the last semester of the University of Guatemala. She was approached by two men with mask, and taking her, kidnapped her, abused her, and she managed to escape. She came to the house, told the story to her mother, Elsa, and Elsa was denouncing to the police in Guatemala. And the following hours, the same police was telling the drugs traffickers what happened on the denounce, and they came after Astrid and the mother, who were able to escape by the back of the house of their house, going to their pastor. But since both of them escaped, they were burning her house and a little business that was by the side. In Mexico, the Gulf cartel were taking them again for about 27 days until they were able to escape, coming through Monterrey to Reynosa. And in McAllen, after crossing Reynosa, a doctor on the hospital who is a good friend of mine and is a gynecologist. Yes. Called me and said, I have this young lady that is ready to deliver. And she, of course, delivers a little baby, Aitana, the baby, and we have a baby now in my place in the bunk beds of our refugee of 4 months, 3 months and a half, 4. Beautiful baby that nobody knows who is the father, because they with a mask. The young lady was no wanting to talk, no wanting to laugh, nothing, until we were counseling and spiritual help with her. Now she's about a month ago started to smile, talk, and is recovering of this big trauma. Thanks the Lord, the process of them is very difficult because it's no political asylum where I work. It's with the cartels. The cartels dominate almost many things in Mexico, as you were very aware of how control the border. But a lawyer that is a very specialist in immigration is taking the case of both of them. The cost was $22,000. And she said, Pereira, I know you very well. She's an Anglo lady that I have been working with her, Jodeline Goodwin. And I said, I know your ministry. I know this case will be very difficult because it has to be processed, not as a political asylum. It has to be processed to the FBI and the CIA because it's an international investigation that nobody wants to do it. And I will give all my expenses free because of your ministry, the Southwest Good Samaritan Ministry. Thank you. Next week, I have another meeting with her and the two ladies, and they will be flying to Houston to immigration again. The baby is so cute. Thanks the Lord, and the man was not ugly man. It's a beautiful baby. and but this is our ministry. This is our ministry. In 1996, I was starting because of the so many children suffering in the Mexican side, orphan children, and I was taking with a pastor there that passed away of a heart attack, but his wife is the director of the orphanage that we have there, Casa Betel Hogar. We have right now 54 children. Since 1996, I have been working with them. We are the providers of the rice, being clothing, uniforms that the government of Mexico asked for the children in the school. They are in the school. We build the buildings with volunteers, mission work groups, and I guess I'm taking more time. But this ministry that I enjoy so much, being surrounded by these children. And let me tell you that 15 of these children were in 1999 in a Bible classes that they were wanting to be on the ministry to help pastors. What happened that now, instead of being a helping pastor, they decided in 2006 to found. Yes, like a denomination, and because of my church in Los Fresnos, the name is Iglesia Cristiana Ebenezer, Discípulos de Cristo. They were taking Ebenezer Ministries. I'm proud of that. We have 35 churches, congregations, no beautiful temples, just on houses and all that, but beautiful congregations in several states of Mexico, many on the border. And it's marvelous how the Lord is blessing this ministry with the orphan, the abandoned children or the abused children. But they have been grown now are in the ministry, and we have now 54. We continue helping on the landfill of the city of Matamoros, where 300 families, more or less, live just picking what they can daily pick from the trucks, garbage, you know. We provide 250 plates, mainly rice and beans or beans and rice, the pastor said, because it's what we can provide more. But this is daily. Reverend Cardona has that ministry. The Reverend Lorena is the director of the orphanage, and Dr. Nancy is with the clinic that we were founded in 1999. We have 3 big ministries in the Mexican side, plus others that are less than that, plus the ministry with the political refugees in our place in Los Fresnos Bayview, where we are the closest ministry to the biggest detention center that the United States has for this political asylum in Bayview, Puerto Isabel. And we are so happy that even my date is very intense. I'm doing what really I feel is my call, to help the least of the least. With the help of all of you, we are carrying this ministry. And I am very proud to be a disciple and belong to a church like this, because in November, we were having so much problem on financial situation, because mainly the mission work groups that we received the past years were helping us so many. But since I'm not taking any angle to the other side, and we are not working with the Casitas project of little home for people, and they're taking any from here because it's controlled by the kidnappers, the drug dealers, cartels. I am not taking anybody over there. Our finances were like that. But we wrote a letter to the churches, and all of you were responding so well, and we continue so alive. I'm so happy with my churches and with all of you, brothers and sisters, that were participating, even on my kids, that we have clothing for the whole of the year. Right?